Started. So I'm sharing my screen. Just confirm if you're able to see.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yesterday we started with a new topic that was. Can someone tell me what topic was that? We started with conservation of
linear momentum. Linear momentum.
Conservation of linear momentum, right? So I told you one important point. Conservation of linear momentum has something to do with which law of Newton?
Third law of Newton.
Newton's third law. What does it state? In the absence of any external force, this is another way of stating. In the absence of any external force, vector sum of the linear momentum, it is not moment, it is momentum of a system of particles always remains constant. The reason why they use the word vector sum is because linear momentum is a vector quantity. So you need to add them along with proper sign. And as I told you, this is a very, very important topic for you to understand other topics in physics, especially like a topic named collisions. Okay, that will be one of the few topics that will be one of the topics that we will be seeing later. At that time, you need to have a clarity of what exactly this conservation of linear momentum means. Okay. So mathematically also I gave you a relation m1 v1 vector plus m2 v2 vector plus so on is going to be a constant. Okay. So when you talk about a system of two particles, it is m1 v1 plus m2 v2 is equal to, actually there is a mistake here. It is m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So recoil of a gun is given as a formula, but everything we will see while solving the problems. Okay. So in today's class, we are going to solve problems. Wait for a minute. I'll share this document in your WhatsApp. You can have it open. Just give me a minute. Hello. Just a minute, guys. So you'll get that assignment sheet in your WhatsApp. You can open it from there. So listen. So the question is, the first question we need to...
I didn't get it, sir.
Sorry?
Sir, I didn't get the WhatsApp form, sir. I mean that, this one, sir, that questions file.
You will get, you have got no, see. Others, did you
Yes,
get?
sir, I got, sir.
So a 30 kilogram shell is flying at a speed of 48 meters per second. When it explodes, its one part of 18 kilograms stops while the remaining part flies on. Okay. Find the velocity of the latter. Okay. So there is a 30 kilogram shell which is moving with a speed of how much value? 48 meters per second, and its mass is 30 kilogram. So I told you already, whichever object has a mass and velocity associated with it, you can always define a quantity called as linear momentum, right? So when this is getting disintegrated, okay, when it is getting split into two parts, so how did I say it's two parts? It's one part of 18 kilogram stops while the remaining part flies on. Find the velocity of the latter. So when it is getting split, an 18 kilogram one is coming to rest. Then how much is the remaining mass? The 12 kilogram, let's say it is moving with the velocity v. Now the important question that comes in your mind is, how do we know that we need to apply conservation of linear momentum here? Okay, the important condition is, when you need to apply the conservation of linear momentum, what is supposed to be 0? In the absence of what? In the absence
External
of what?
force.
In the absence of an external force. That is very important. Means when the sum of all the external forces is 0, then you can say that the linear momentum of the system is conserved, accepted. Now here what is happening is, if you look at the shell is breaking into two parts. Okay, if something has to be broken, you need to apply force and break it. But here the question is it breaking due to the external force or internal force? So which force is responsible for the disintegration of the shell? It is the internal force that is responsible, because nowhere it is mentioned in the question that there is a force that is applied externally and it is breaking into two parts. Okay, so this kind of a treatment will happen to objects which are not stable. Okay, so objects which are actually not stable will get disintegrated. Since the internal force is not equal to 0 and the external force is 0 in this case, yes, we can apply the conservation of linear momentum. So please make a note of it. Going forward, wherever you see a problem which is based on a shell getting or shell breaking into different parts, you can directly go with the concept of conservation of linear momentum, because you know that it is happening only because of internal force and not due to the external force. So on applying conservation of linear momentum, the mass of the system is m and the initial velocity is 48. So m1 is 30, u1 or u is equal to 48 meter per second. This is what is happening finally. M2 is 18 and V2 is 0, or I will call it like this. V2 is 0. Similarly, M3 is 12 and V3 is V. So how will you apply the conservation of linear momentum? Initial momentum should be equal to final momentum. What is the initial momentum? 30 into 48 should be equal to 18 into 0 plus 12 into V. So 18 into 0 is going to be a 0. So this 12 will cancel 48 4 times. So V will be how much? 120 meter per second. Means the smaller piece will move with the speed of 120 meter per second. Is it clear, guys? Is it clear? Is there any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall I move on to the next one? So listen. So there is a neutron has a mass of 1.67 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram, and it is moving at a speed of 10 power 8 meters per second. Collides with a neutron at rest and sticks to it. Okay. So remember this scenario. I'll tell you, I'll give you a specific name for it. You learn about this later. So what is happening? There is a neutron which is moving with a speed of 10 power 8 10 power 8 meter per second. It's colliding with a deuteron, which is at rest. Okay. So what is happening after the collision? Are they getting separated or they are getting stuck? They are getting stuck. So the neutron and the deuteron together, they get stuck and move as a single object. If the mass of the deuteron is 3.34 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram, and mass of the neutron is 1.67 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram, you need to find the speed of the combination. So what exactly is happening here is, there is a collision taking place where particles stick together. Okay. So this type of a collision is called as perfectly inelastic collision. So I'm repeating it. A collision where the particles stick together after collision is called as a perfectly inelastic collision. This is a technical name. Okay. Now, how to solve this problem is, here also if you observe, since external force acting on the system is zero, applying conservation of linear momentum, can I say 1.67 into 10 power minus 27 is what? Mass of neutron into its velocity 10 power 8 will be equal to, sorry, plus, what should I add? So how many particle system is this? How many particle system is this?
Two particles.
It's a two part. You have a neutron and a deuteron. It's a two particle system. So there will be two terms in the expression. One term is for first particle, second term is for the second particle. So for the second particle, it is 3.34 into 10 power minus 27. This is the mass of the second particle into, what is the initial velocity of the second particle?
Zero.
So what is this? It is zero because it is at rest. It will be equal to, what will be the final momentum of the particle, guys? It will be 1.67 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram, sorry, 27, plus what? 3.34 into 10 power minus 27, the whole multiplied with V. Accepted? Why did I write it like this? So what did I apply? M1 U1 plus M2 U2 is equal to M1 plus M2 into V, where that V is called as the speed of the combination. Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Now see. Now see. 1.67 into 2 is what is 3.34. So 10 power minus 27 gets cancelled. Okay. So this whole thing is 0, by the way. So 10 power minus 27 gets cancelled. So you are left out with 1.67 into 10 power 8 is equal to 1.67 plus 3.34, the whole multiplied with V. So 1.67, this will go one time and this will go two times. So 10 power 8 is equal to 3V, which implies V will be equal to 1 by 3 into 10 power 8. 1 by 3 is 0.33 into 10 power 8 meter per second, or I can write it as 33 into 10 power 6 meter per second. Did you guys understand? Okay. So this topic you have to master. Shall I move on to the next one? Now see. A car of mass 1000 kilogram is traveling at what speed? 32 meters per second. It dashes into the air of a truck of mass 800 kilogram moving in the same direction with a velocity of 4 meters per second. After the collision, the car bounces back with a velocity of 8 meters per second. What is the velocity of the truck after the impact? Car, truck. So car is moving with a speed of 32 meters per second. Truck is moving at a speed of 4 meters per second. This has a mass of 1000 kilogram. This has a mass of 8000 kilogram. So they both are moving in the same direction. So this is what is happening. Before collision. After collision, what will happen? They are saying the car is bouncing back with a velocity of how much value? With a velocity of 8 meters per second. Now, what is that we need to find is the velocity of the truck after collision. Is there any doubt till here? Is it clear? Is it clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Clear, sir.
Okay. Now listen. So what do I do? So when you apply the conservation of linear momentum, what can you say? See, I'm not writing it like a formula M1, U1 and all. I'm directly writing M1 is 1000 into what is U1? 32 plus. You guys tell me the expression. Akshay, you tell me.
Plus 8000 into 4
Right, is equal to?
equal to 1000 into 8
Okay.
plus 8000 into V.
There is a mistake in your equation, correct it.
Opposite direction, sir.
It is minus 8. Akshay, you got it? It is minus 8 because the car is bouncing back.
Okay, sir. Got
Okay.
it.
So be clear. So 1000 zeros will get cancelled. Zeros are gone. Now what will you get? You will have 32 plus 32 is equal to minus 8 plus 8p. 32 plus 32 is 64. 64 plus 8 is 72 is equal to 8p, which implies v will be equal to 9 meters per second. Means, observe, initially the truck was moving with a velocity of 4 meters per second. How did it increase to 9 meters per second? What is the reason for it to increase? Because some of the energy from the car has got transferred to the truck. That is why it has gained some velocity. That is the reason. Is this clear? So,
Yes, sir.
okay. Yeah. So make a note of it. So after this topic, the remaining topics are derivations only that we can go fast. So 2 more classes maximum will complete this chapter. Oh, you have this thing, right? You have friction, yeah. Maximum 2 to 3 more classes will be done with this chapter. I'm moving on to the next one. So the fourth one is C. We'll do 2 more problems. Then I'll move on to the next concept. So there is a hunter who has a machine gun that can fire 50-gram bullets with a speed of 150 meter per second. Similarly, a 60-kilogram tiger springs at him with a velocity of 10 meter per second. How many bullets must the hunter fire into the tiger in order to stop him in track? Okay. So what is happening is, so there is a gun. From the gun, the bullets are going. So 50 grams, and the bullet is traveling with a speed of 150 meter per second. Correct? So the tiger, it's coming towards him with a speed of 10 meter per second, and it is 60. The mass of the tiger is 60 kilogram. Now tell me, when can he stop the tiger with his bullets? Let us say n bullets are needed to stop the tiger. Okay. So n into, what is the mass of each bullet? 50 grams. It is 50 into 10 power minus 3 into 150 should be equal to how much? Should be equal to 10 into 60. Right? So can you calculate and tell me? So 0 and 0 are gone. This goes 2 times and this goes 5 times. So what is the answer? N into 25 into 10 power minus 3 is equal to 2. So n will be equal to 2 divided by 25 into 10 power minus 3. 2 divided by 25 is how much? Into 10 power 3, sorry. 2 divided by 25 is 0.08 into 10 power 3. This will be how much? So he needs 80 bullets to stop the tiger from attacking him. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So one last problem. So I'm moving on to the next one. Now you guys solve this and tell me. Verify whether the answer is right or wrong. So there is an object of mass 1 kilogram initially at rest. So I told you, wherever explosion is there, that is happening only because of the internal forces, and breaks into how many fragments? 3 fragments of masses 1:3. The 2 pieces of equal mass fly off perpendicular to each other with a speed of 30 meters per second. What is the velocity of the heavier fragment? You tell me what is the velocity along with the direction. You guys try. How to solve? How many of you solved it? So this question, the tricky part is you need to take proper directions into consideration. Sashmit, you're there? Sashmit? Siddesh? Siddesh, you're there? Yeah, tell me how to solve this. So there is an object of mass 1 kilogram, which is initially at rest. So U is 0. It explodes and breaks into 3 fragments of masses in the ratio 1:1:3. Right? So what is the meaning of it? M1 is to M2 is to M3 is equal to 1:1:3. So how do we consider the masses? M1 by 1 should be equal to M2 by 1 should be equal to M3 by 3. If I call it as K or M, then M1 is M, M2 will be M, M3 will be 3M. Now tell me, what is the relation between M1, M2, M3 and 1 kilogram? So where did the masses M1, M2 and M3 come from? They came from the 1 kilogram block.
1 kilogram.
Yes, sir.
So M1 plus M2 plus M3 should be equal to 1.
Equal to
So
1
M plus M plus 3M should be equal to 1, which implies 5M is equal to 1. So M will be 1 by 5. So M1 is 1 by 5, M2 is 1 by 5, and M3 will be 3 by 5. So these many kilograms is the answer, right? Now what is the important point they're saying? So till now, all the problems that we solved were one-dimensional. Here what is happening? The object is moving perpendicular to each other. There are two perpendicular, means 2 dimension is getting involved. So how we need to solve is 1 multiplied with 0 will be equal to mass of the first object into velocity of the first object. I'm writing it as vector because I have to take proper direction into consideration. M2 into V2 vector plus M3 into V3 vector. Okay. So 0 will be equal to M1 is 1 by 5 into, if I take V1, so what are they saying? The 2 pieces of equal mass fly off perpendicular to each other with a speed of 30 meters per second. So if I take this as 30 I cap, then the other 1 by 5 will fly with a speed of 30 meters per second, but in the perpendicular direction. Plus, what is the value of M3? Into, I need to find its final velocity. Okay. Now, if you observe, 0 will be equal to 6 I cap plus 6j cap plus 3 by 5 times v. So what will be the value of v, guys? V is equal to minus 6 I cap minus 6j cap into 5 divided by 3. Means it is minus 10 I cap minus 10 j cap. This is the velocity vector. Correct? So what will be the magnitude of velocity? It will be root of 100 plus 100. It will be root of 200. That will be 10 root 2 meter per second. Root 2 is 1.414. So 1.414 into 10 is 14.14. So 14.14 meter per second is the answer. But what is the important point to be noted here? The directions. If 1 by 5 mass kilogram, 1 by 5 kilogram is moving like this, and the other 1 by 5 is moving like this, is moving with a speed of 30 I cap and 30 j cap, then how is the heavier mass moving? It is moving with what speed? I mean, what velocity? Minus 10 I cap, minus 10 j cap. Correct?
Yes.
Minus 10 I cap, minus 10 j cap is confined to which quadrant?
And third quadrant.
Third quadrant.
Third quadrant means the third particle will move like this. So this is the direction of which particle? The 3 by 5 kilogram particle. Okay. So if I erase this, this is how you need to visualize it. Clear? Guys, I'm not getting responses.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So shall I move on to the next concept then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now listen. So in the laws of motion part, there is your NCERT content. Okay. So introduction, all these things, you keep it. We have seen what is the law of inertia. We have seen what is first law, second law, third law. We saw what is conservation of linear momentum. Also, we have seen how to solve the problems in mechanics, because in your textbook, what they have done is they have given everything at the end. But you definitely need it while solving the problems here itself. So especially the normal reaction and tension, I tried to explain in depth, which is actually not there in the textbook. Okay. But there are problems asked based on that. The theory is not given, but the problems are asked. If you have to solve it on your own, you need to understand the content. So that part I've covered. Okay. The next thing that is left out is equilibrium of a particle. So with this, the first part is over. The second part of this chapter is about friction and its application. Okay. So as I told you, we'll maximum complete it in 2 to 3 classes. So can I start with equilibrium of particle now?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes,
listen.
sir.
So this is the topic, equilibrium of a particle. So any idea about what is equilibrium?
First step.
Mithun, your voice is breaking.
The fourth step.
Force? I didn't get.
First step, sir. First step.
Poster. Your voice is breaking. Can you let me know in the chat box? Anyone else?
Yes,
So
it's a
any-
type of state of rest, sir, of an object.
See, this is where people get confused, okay? It is not a state of rest.
Net force is 0, sir.
So what is the difference? Net force is 0 means object has to be at rest only.
State of physical balance.
No. See, you are saying net force is 0. Net force is 0 means, as Rohan told, it should be at rest. But I am
Sir, rest
saying,
means no force acts, sir. But if it is in equilibrium, some force is acting on the object, but still it is in rest.
no. See, what I am trying to stress upon is, wherever you see equilibrium, rest is not the right word to use. And
Stationary, sir.
no, stationary and rest mean the same. Stationary is a synonym of rest. What difference does it make? It does not difference. Okay, what I'm going to explain is a very thin line, concentrate. So you need to understand this. Equilibrium means, especially, see, you learn about many such equilibriums. For example, in physics and mechanics, we call it as equilibrium, mechanical equilibrium. Similarly, in your chemistry and physics, when you learn about thermodynamics, there is something called as thermodynamic equilibrium. Similarly, in chemistry, you will have something called as chemical equilibrium. Okay. So each part, the equilibrium concept has a different context. So now the concept of equilibrium, which we are discussing, is with respect to mechanics. So this type of equilibrium is called as mechanical equilibrium. So listen to it carefully. When an object is subjected to many forces, okay, when an object is subjected to many forces, and if the net force, net which force? Net external force is equal to 0, then the object is said to be at equilibrium. But if I use the statement net external force is equal to 0 and I stop with it, your mind will only think of the case of rest. Now I'm trying to bring in Newton's first law into picture. Okay. So let's recollect again. What does Newton's first law state? So it states every object continues to be in the state of rest
Rest.
or
Uniform motion.
So repeat it again. Or what? Or what you told is right.
Uniform motion, sir.
Why you are using the word uniform motion? I stressed on it. You remember? There is, so when you talk, I never told an object has to be in motion. If you forget the word uniform, you're gone. So what is the meaning of uniform motion according to kinematics?
Acceleration is 0.
Velocity is constant, or that's right, acceleration is 0. So when I say equilibrium, so you're able to understand acceleration is 0 according to first law. If I say net external force is 0, net external force according to second law is what? M into A. M into A is 0, then acceleration is 0. Okay. So what is equilibrium speaking about? Is it speaking about velocity or acceleration? So when I speak about external force, when I speak about force, am I speaking about velocity or acceleration?
Acceleration.
I'm speaking about acceleration. But is there a possibility where an object can move but still have 0 acceleration? Is there a scenario? It's there on the left of the page. Is there a scenario where it is possible that the object is moving but still has 0 acceleration?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the main point I'm trying to explain here is, not only in this chapter, throughout your life, wherever you're using the word force, you can be even PhD or you're doing double PhD, whatever you're doing, but still if you stick to the basic, if you use the word force anywhere, if you say the force acting on an object is 0, means the object is not accelerating, but the object can still be in
Motion.
uniform motion. So an object which is in motion also can have 0 acceleration. So equilibrium mainly speaks about the acceleration of the object. That is the reason why I told don't use the word rest. Okay, because I know there is a very confusing factor. But are you guys able to connect the dots?
Yes,
What I'm
sir.
trying to say is, if the net external force on a system is 0, the object is said to be at equilibrium. So the next important conclusion not to be made is, just because I'm saying net external force is 0, the object cannot be in motion. It can be. So based on whether the object is in motion or at rest, the equilibrium is further classified into 2 types that I will explain. Okay. So listen to me carefully. So what are we talking about? Equilibrium. So to be more specific, what equilibrium is it? It is mechanical equilibrium. So mechanical equilibrium means sum of all external forces is 0. Okay. When external force on a system is 0, the system, actually we speak about an object, okay? I'm just using the word system. The system is said to be in what? In equilibrium. So an object in equilibrium can further have two cases. What is it? The object can either be at rest or uniform motion. So under both these scenarios, what is happening is the net external force is still 0 because the object is not accelerating. So if the object is at rest, this type of an equilibrium is called as static equilibrium. Similarly, the object is subjected to 0 net external force, but it is still having a uniform velocity. This is called as dynamic equilibrium. Are you guys clear with this? So static means rest, dynamic means motion. So the meaning of the inner meaning of dynamic equilibrium is the object is still moving, but equilibrium says it is not accelerating. Here velocity is non-zero, but acceleration is 0. Static, velocity is 0, equilibrium, acceleration is 0. That is the meaning. Is this point registered in your mind? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So, see, if at all you learn somewhere, they will use the word stable and unstable equilibrium also. That I will explain later. Okay, as of now, don't have that in your mind. Concentrate on what I'm going to explain. So this is all about mechanical equilibrium. Okay, where I've told about static and dynamic equilibrium. Okay. Now listen. Now what I'll do is I'll explain a problem. So this problem. Now listen. So the example 5.6 says, so there is a mass of 6 kilogram, which is suspended by a rope of length 2 meters from the ceiling. Okay. Then there is a force of 50 Newton in the horizontal direction that is applied at the midpoint P of the rope, as shown in the figure. What is the angle the rope makes with the vertical in equilibrium condition? Okay. So let me demonstrate and show this, what exactly is happening. 1 minute, I'll get a device and come wait. So listen. So I'm switching on my video. If you read the question, what they're trying to say is, read it carefully. There is a 6 kilogram block, right? There is a 6 kilogram block, which is suspended with the help of a string, which is 2 meters long. So it is something like this. Okay. I'll have to understand, I'll make it like this. There is 2 meters long and there is a 6 kilogram block. Had it been like this, tell me what are all the forces acting downward? What are all the forces acting? I'll show you the direction. In this direction, what are the forces acting on the object?
Gravitational.
It is its own weight. There is a force of 60 Newton that is acting downwards. So what is the force that is acting in this direction? So here what will happen? Due to the 60 Newton, what will the string try to do?
It's a tension.
There is a tension that is acting at this point. So the tension here will be in the upward direction. So here also the same tension will come in the downward direction, and my hand is trying to stop it. right? So this is what is happening. So had I held the block here and I tried to pull it, see what is happening to the string. So initially it is like this, right? Initially it is like this. This is the vertical. If I move, if I apply the force on the block, see what is happening. Are you able to see some angle here? Observe that, no? Are you able to see some angle?
Yes, sir.
That angle is called as the angle made with the vertical. So I'm able to see an angle made with the vertical. Whereas instead of applying the force exactly on the block, if I apply it somewhere along the midpoint and I'm trying to pull it, see what will happen. So what was the difference? Here, the block also moved, right? Is the block still vertical? So the block is rectangle like this. When I bring it here, is the rectangular shape still in the same way? Is it like this? It is in this way, right?
Yes, sir.
So the rectangular shape has changed the direction. Whereas, observe what is going to happen when I hold it here in the midpoint and pull it. What is happening to the rectangular shape? Is it changing?
It does not change.
It does not change, but you are able to see some angle with the vertical.
Yes, sir.
So that's what this question is all about. If you read the question, so for a 2-meter string which is holding a 6-kilogram block, a horizontal force is applied at the midpoint, such that when you try to pull it, there is one particular position which is obtained like this. In this scenario, the system is at equilibrium. Okay, the whole system is at equilibrium. At that time, what is the angle made by the string with the vertical? They are asking this angle. Our work is to find it. Are you guys able to visualize it? Did you visualize the question? That is more important,
Yes,
right? Now let's get into the physics part of it. I'm going back to the see. So the rectangular shape is still remaining the same. That's what the question is. Now you can read it. See, there is a mass 6 kilogram which is suspended by a rope of length 2 meter from the ceiling. That ceiling is my hand in the demonstration which I showed. There is a force of 50 Newton which is applied in the horizontal direction at the midpoint of the rope. What is the angle the rope makes with the vertical in equilibrium? So they are asking, okay, they asked this angle. So what I told is this angle. If you observe this angle and this angle are the same according to geometry.
yes, sir.
Right. So both mean the same. Now how to solve this question using the free body diagram is what we are going to see. Okay. Now observe. Just a minute. So this page number. Also. So if I take this diagram alone, if I take this diagram, I'll zoom and show. See, tell me at point P, what exactly is happening? If I take point P alone, if I try to draw a free body diagram, at point P, there is a tension T2 acting in the downward direction. Right?
Yes, sir.
So this T1 can be resolved into 2 components. I told you, whichever force is neither along X direction or Y direction, you have to always resolve it along X direction and Y direction. So when you do it, this one will be T1 cos theta and this one will be T1 sin theta. Convinced? So at point P, there is a force T2 acting in the downward direction and T1 cos theta is acting in the upward direction. Is that clear? Similarly, along the horizontal direction at point P, there is 50 Newton acting this side and T1 sin theta acting in the horizontal. Clear?
Yes,
So,
sir.
On the 6 kilogram block, there is 60 Newton acting downwards and T2 acting upwards. Now, what did they mention? They use the word equilibrium. When we say equilibrium, at equilibrium, what happens? Sum of all the external forces is equal to 0.
0.
Now tell me, sum of all the external forces along x direction is 0. Similarly, sum of all the forces along y direction is also 0. What are the forces acting in the x direction? 50 and T1 sin theta. So they both are balanced. So can I write 50 is equal to T1 sin theta? Similarly, sigma Fy means what are all the vertical forces acting?
T1 cos theta and 60 Newton.
Very good. T1 cos theta will be equal to T2. Correct? So let this be 1. Let this. I'm looking only at the free body diagram. I'm looking at this diagram. T1 cos theta is balanced by T2. If I look at this free body diagram, this is also having forces along vertical direction. Then can I say T2 is nothing but 60? So from these two, what can I conclude? T1 cos theta will be equal to 60. Are you guys clear? Is there any doubt? So from 1 and 4, what I can conclude is T1 sin theta divided by T1 cos theta is equal to, what is T1 sin theta? 50 divided by T1 cos theta is 60. This and this will get cancelled. T1 and T1 are gone, which implies tan theta is equal to 5 by 6, which implies theta will be equal to tan inverse of 5 by 6. So this is the angle made in the equilibrium condition. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Make a note of it. So, to conclude this problem can be solved in another method also called as Lami's theorem. Okay, it is a simple concept. You guys let me know if they have taught this in school. If they have taught, I will explain this method, or else you can go with the method which I taught, the free body diagram, and then solve. So Lami's theorem is applicable only for problems where equilibrium at concurrent points is happening. So the meaning of concurrency is all the lines are meeting at the same point. If you observe, all the forces are meeting at point P. Since the point P is at equilibrium, at that time I can use a theorem called as Lami's theorem. So you let me know if they teach in school, then I will explain, or else I'll not discuss this. In tomorrow's class, we can start friction itself. Okay. So tomorrow's class, we will start with friction. Is there any other doubt from today's class?
No, sir.
Okay. So with this, the first part of the chapter is over. Okay. Tomorrow we'll be starting with friction. 70 to 75% will be over tomorrow itself. The next class we'll complete this chapter. Okay. So that's it. So just a minute.